Now I have the Ursa Mini on order. It's not here yet, so I rented this camera to get some of the slow-mo features. Beautiful image, great depth of field. I don't want to go through any of the specs in this video. You can read about all those, it's great, whatever. What I want to talk about is actually shooting with this thing, functionality. The main camera I've shot on for the last year and a half has been the Blackmagic 4K production camera. This one is quite a bit heavier, but it doesn't feel too heavy. It's not like putting the Red One on your shoulder. Some of the pros I like about this thing, I do love the top handle built in. That's awesome. The screen is huge. I'll get to that in a minute. One of my main things I love though is this screen here on the side. Getting to your menus and switching to just different displays. Super easy, super nice. I love this one on this side as well. If for some reason you need to get this part of the camera right up against a wall or something, because it's the best way to get your shot, you can still do your viewing through this side of the camera if you don't have an external monitor. I would still highly recommend using an external monitor with this. Another thing I really like about this camera are the XLR inputs. The audio connector on the Blackmagic 4K production camera is kind of annoying. It's nice to have the XLRs. It's a great way to do a quick run and gun. I put a screw on the top here to be able to attach a boom straight to it. Yes, you have the audio XLR, but the thing I find really annoying is the audio volume control, like your gain control on your audio. There's no hard stop. So it's just like, well, I guess I just keep turning it. It's super annoying. It doesn't have good indicators on it. Yeah, I'm not even an audio guy, and I find that super frustrating and annoying. Super nice to have built in to your system a way to put your rods in. The other thing I love about the rod system is when you have it connected to your plate, you can push the rods all the way back if you needed to. So it doesn't get in the way of the locking mechanism of the actual plate, which is really nice. I do like that. My biggest issue is this screen is so big. I find it cumbersome. It gets in the way a lot. It sticks out from the camera so far that it's really annoying to me to have such a huge screen on my camera. I would rather just put a field monitor on the top. I do like how the C300, 100, 500, all the Canon, that they have that little flip out screen on the top. I like that a lot better. The screen's a lot smaller, but it's not taking up a lot of your pan real estate. It sticks out so far. Also, I don't know why on the front here, they didn't just make this a hot shoe. Doesn't make sense to me why this couldn't just be a really quick, easy hot shoe connector right there. That would have been really nice. There's, at least from my knowledge, somebody correct me if I'm wrong, please, because I'd love to know this, but there's not a CFast card out there that's fast enough to do 80 frames a second raw on this camera. Every time I do it, it goes about 10 seconds and it drops frames. I got the Lexar Professional, 3400X. It's the one that Blackmagic recommends. It's like, $600 for 128 gig or something like that. So with this camera, just note you can't do 80 frames a second in full RAW. You can do it to 3:1, but not full RAW. Now with 60 frames, it won't do RAW either. It'll last about 30 seconds at 60 frames, and then it will drop frames. But if you go down to ProRes, ProRes HQ, you can do 60 frames. You can actually do about up to 70 frames before you start seeing drop. And some people said that they've seen 80. I've read in the forums, but mine didn't do it. I don't know if it's something wrong with my card, but I tried all 4 of my cards that I have, and it still had issues. It was still dropping frames after about a minute. So you could record for a minute before you start seeing drop frames. Now, if you go down to a windowed, obviously in 1080, I had no problem with doing the 150 frames per second. No issues with that. I'm glad that this actually has a RAW 3:1, because the Blackmagic 4K camera, those files were huge when you shot RAW. And the 3:1 actually condenses it quite a bit. And honestly, I personally can't see much of a difference. This thing is a power hog. It goes through batteries pretty fast. This is an Anton Bauer 90. It's about 90 watts. It lasts about an hour and 20 minutes. So just note that with the Blackmagic production camera, I could get out of the batteries I used, I think it was a 95 watt, and it lasted like 3 to 4 hours. I mean, the sucker lasted forever. It was awesome. I actually love the fact that the production camera has a built-in battery. The way I always used it was when this battery on the back died on the production, I'd always know right away because it would switch over to the internal battery, and I could just do a hot swap real fast. It was awesome. I wish they had some sort of built-in, even if it was like a 10-15 minute battery in this thing, it'd be awesome. Last but not least, the thing that bothers me the most, absolute most about this camera is handheld. I thought like, oh yeah, this camera wouldn't be bad for handheld, right? But watch. So I stick this thing up on my shoulder. I'm like, yeah, oh crap, I gotta pull this out, right? Boom, I got this freaking huge screen that's like my nose is touching. It's not super comfortable. I got the shoulder pad, but the problem is the shoulder pad for Blackmagic puts the camera here. Like, literally my nose is touching this. So the problem is your controls and stuff are all within here. So you gotta close this thing to get to it. It's not bad when it's like this. So I think with the EVF attached to the top, this problem would probably be solved. I can't say, I haven't used it with the EVF. It is nice to have some of these controls right here, the record and some of this, the f-stops and iris and focus and stuff. I wish Blackmagic would make more programmable buttons. Yes, I don't ever use the iris or the focus because the lenses I use are cinema. They're modded lenses. So it's all a manual focus and the aperture is declicked, so I can just do the aperture myself. So those buttons are completely useless to me. If they're programmable, you could still make it an iris or a focus button, or you can make it something else. I could make it anything. I could make it a preset to change to slow-mo or something. That's the one thing that a lot of other cameras have over the Blackmagic is the programmable buttons. Now, the one way I did find that I like shooting with this camera is holding it like this. It's actually really nice. Or like underslinging it down like this to get low shots. Also very nice. The camera, it's not, like I said, it's not too heavy, but you'll feel it. You'll definitely feel it by the end of the day if you're holding this thing handheld all day. Now, like I said before, the EVF I think would solve a lot of the problems that this camera has for me. It's just annoying to do this thing handheld, honestly. No good way, and that's the other thing that bothers me is if I want to put a monitor on it, there's nothing to attach it to. What I have found is I attach a monitor right here to the rods, but then it gets in the way of your follow focus if you attach there, or your matte box. I wish that they had a 1/4 inch screw on this thing somewhere, like on the bottom, here. I don't care where. It's really annoying to not have a 1/4 inch screw in. All in all, it's a great camera. There is one thing, if you listen, it has a fan on it that you can't turn off or damper, or even when you hit record, it doesn't quiet down. So if you are doing stuff that's pretty close to the camera, you will hear that fan. And I've had sound guys complain to me, not only on this camera, but any of the Blackmagic cameras that I've worked with. If the sound guy for some reason has to be really close to the camera because it's a tight shot or a tight space, he always complains. He's like, hey, can you turn that fan off? I'm like, I don't know how, and I don't think you can. Anyway, hey, let me know what you guys think of these reviews. Tell me what you want to know next. I got more reviews coming. I'm trying really hard to give a wide variety of stuff that I use. When I get the Ursa Mini in, I'll be sure to review it. I'm super stoked. It seems to me that the Ursa Mini took all the ideas of this, made it smaller, took out this annoying huge screen, and just made it just seems like the perfect camera to me. Anyway, thanks guys.